Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. My name is Dane. I post videos all about moving to Australia. In today's two videos, yes, I'm posting two videos today. They're going to be short and sweet, but I thought you guys love hearing about my experiences of living in Australia. So in this video, I'm going to be giving you 10 things that I love about living in Australia. And then you're going to want to watch another video straight after, which I'll link down below. It's 10 things I hate. Not necessarily hate, that's a very strong word, but 10 things I don't like about living here. So I thought this is a good way to share my perspective of living in Australia as someone from England. For context of this video, I'm a 29-year-old from England. I moved to Australia 2 years ago on a working holiday visa. In these videos, I'm not dogging Australia at all. I absolutely love it here. I just think there's things that I don't love about Australia, and that's okay. We don't have to love every aspect of a country, but I just thought, actually, these are really interesting things that you guys might want to be aware of if you're going to move here. As always, if you are new around here, make sure you hit subscribe down below. You can download my free Moving to Australia mini guide, and also I have a 100-page ebook all about moving to Australia on a working holiday visa. So that will all be linked down below. And yeah, make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss any videos. These things are by no means in any order. They are just 10 random things. I sat down with a pen and paper and I thought, right, these are 10 things that I love about Australia. These are 10 things that I don't necessarily love about Australia. The first thing that I love about living in Australia is how beautiful the country is. Now, I live on the East Coast. I live like a 10-minute walk, even less than that, down the road from the beach. And I just go to the beach every day and I'm just like, wow, I can't believe I live in a country as beautiful as Australia. I'm from a little small country town in England and it just doesn't compare. So I think I'm really grateful, like on a daily basis, that I see the blue skies and I live in a country as beautiful as this. Number two, the people are really friendly in Australia. So I'm from the south of England, and I don't know about you guys or where you're from, but in the south of England, like people just don't talk to each other in the streets here. Like if I go for a morning beach walk, people are like, good day, good morning, like how are you doing, like this type of thing. And people are really friendly. Like you go into a store or anywhere really, and people just want to chat to you and they're just generally really friendly, and it just makes life a little bit nicer. Number three, probably my favorite thing I love about Australia, the coffee is a 10 out of 10. Now, I came to Australia in 2020 as a backpacker. I did 6 weeks on the East Coast. And honestly, that was like my first time like really trying coffee and getting into it. And I'm like, I'm freaking addicted. Like I've been like 2 coffees a day since. And I just feel that most places you go in Australia, you will get served a decent coffee. And it's not that expensive. It's like $4.50, $5, which is like £2.50 for a decent like cappuccino or latte or whatever drink you drink. Number four, the blue skies in Australia just make me feel happy and calm every day. I can only compare living in Australia to living in England, but my memory of living in England, I haven't lived there in like 3 years, is like grey skies, lots of rain, and you know, overall in Australia, living here for the past 2 years, mostly I see the blue sky every day and it just makes me feel happy and calm. And I don't really get like SAD like I used to. I used to get, it's called seasonal affective disorder. So with like bad weather and like lots of darkness, it causes your mood to like go down. So I don't really love that. But in Australia, I'm like, this sky is blue every day. Life is good, mostly. This is kind of related to number four. Number five is my life kind of revolves around the beach. So Australia, if you didn't know, it's nearly the same size as the US. That means there are so many places to live. Now, the reason I moved to Australia is because I wanted to live by the beach. Now my dreams come true, 10-minute walk down to the road to the beach. And yeah, I just feel like my life revolves around the beach. I wake up in the morning, get a coffee, head to the beach before work, and then I come back and work for the day. And then after work, I go to the beach again. And I love that. And especially if it's a really hot day, I'll just go swimming. Where I live, there are so many rock pools and so many options to just go swimming. So yeah, I just love that my life revolves around the beach. When living in England, I felt like my life just revolved around being inside. Number six, the travel opportunity. So I know people always say, oh yeah, but you've got Europe on your doorstep. You know, I love Europe. Europe has a special place in my heart, but I've been there so many times. But Australia has so many unique destinations. You know, we've got the desert here, we've got the rainforest, pristine beaches, and Australia is also closer to Asia, it's closer to New Zealand, and more unique destinations like New Caledonia and Fiji and the Cook Islands. So if I was in England, accessing those Australian destinations and those other ones that I spoke about would be a lot more difficult. However, living in Australia, it's like a couple of hours to fly to somewhere completely different, which I know it is in the UK as well, but it's just cool to live somewhere where you have like access to a whole new field of countries and destinations. Number 7, quality of life in Australia for me feels a lot higher than the UK. So firstly, like education is supposed to be better. Don't quote me on that, but that's just what Google told me. And secondly, healthcare. Now, I once needed to go to the doctor's appointment. My mental health was really shit one day, which that totally happens. And I called a doctor. I had an appointment that day, and then I saw like a therapist like a few days later. And I was like, oh my God, when I lived in England, that would be like weeks, maybe even months before you even seeing it. And you also have to like justify why you need like healthcare in England. Like I felt like anytime I would ever access health services, which was rare, but obviously you do need to at sometimes, they're like, oh, but do you really need to see someone? And I just felt like when I access health services here, it's just like no questions asked. Although, yeah, you do have to pay a little bit. It's like, you just get it straight away. This is also my experience, by the way. So if you're Australian, you have other problems, like that's nothing to do with me. Included in the high quality of life bracket, I will include high wages. So generally, people get paid a lot more in Australia. My personal circumstances, so I'm not working as a social worker at the moment, but when I was in the UK, I think I started on like £30,000, which is about $60,000. That's, it's an okay wage for living in the UK. It's okay for like starting wage. However, if I was to work as a social worker where I live in Australia, I would get paid like $120,000. So that's around 60 to 65,000 pounds. So in essence, my wages would just double for me doing the same work. So I think that's pretty cool. I even watched a TikTok a few weeks ago about a girl that was a nurse in England and she moved to Australia and she worked in an ice cream van and she got paid more money working at the ice cream van than as a nurse in England. Like it's just a no-brainer. So number 8, winters are so much more milder here. So I've done 2 winters in Australia and they vary around like 10, 15 degrees. Like that is like the lowest, the minimum. And I still go to the beach every day. I don't necessarily go swimming, but I just find that you don't really need a jacket here. There'll be like a cooler period for like 3 or 4 weeks where I'm like, oh, put a jacket on. But then you go out and you get too hot, so you just end up taking it off anyway. There were even a few days in the winter when it was like 25 degrees and I'm like, this is not winter. Like in English winters, I'm used to like freezing or like -5 degrees. And it's just like, for me, I just can't deal with the really cold temperatures. It's just like unbearable for me. Number 9 is the active lifestyle. So my daily routine, as I said, go to the beach, 6 a.m. Everyone's out at the beach. Everyone's swimming, surfing, doing yoga, doing their workout. And I'm like, yes. Doing their hot girl walks. And I'm like, yes. I really love fitness and exercise. So I think Australia just really suits that lifestyle for me. And lastly, safety. Now, obviously there's dodgy, sketchy areas all over the world, but in general, I feel so incredibly safe in Australia. People think the UK is really safe, but I feel like there's actually lots of crime and lots of stabbings that happen. So personally, I've been out in London and someone has pulled a knife out on me. Like that just should not happen. Like where I used to live, there was like certain roads that I would avoid. And obviously you do that all over the world. But in general, like I've been here 2 years and I've not really felt unsafe ever. And I think that speaks volumes about how friendly the people are in Australia. So I went back to England last year and it was a real big shock because I hadn't been in the UK in like 2 years. And I remember being on the tube in London and you had sort of people like shouting at you and like drunk chavs on the bus. And I'm just like, fuck this. One of my big things for places I want to live is safety. So for me, Australia just feels really safe. People are really friendly and I don't feel on edge when I'm walking around. Obviously that is my perspective of being a male, being a white male in Australia. Like I live on the East Coast. I'm sure there's areas of Australia that you'd probably want to avoid, but yeah, in general, I feel like Australia is really safe. These are 10 things that I absolutely love about Australia. I will link down below my other video, so I don't know what order you watched it in, but go and watch that about 10 things that I sadly do not like about living in Australia. Thanks for watching this video, guys. Make sure you hit subscribe down below and yeah, tune into the next video. So take care and peace out.